Today's service order is Vandana and Ti-Sarana, Sutra chanting, 12 Homages, unison reading, Homages, Gatha, the Beckoning Hand, a message from Ms. Annette Kam. After the message, let us sing the Gatha happily together and Nembutsu. Please rise as we start today's service with the chanting of Vandana and Ti-Sarana, which will be led by Reverend Blaine Nakasone Sakata. Please open the service book to page 7 or see the screen. One moment. Please be seated. Today's sutra chanting is 12 Homages. Please open the service book to page 120 or see the screen.
Yeah.
Please stand if you are able to recite Homages. Please see the screen for the words or page 2 of the service book. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living in it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear them. If we do not gain emancipation in this present life, we may not be free from ill-faring in the ocean of births and deaths for kalpas. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures. We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the sangha for guidance. May we with all live life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads of kalpas, hard it is to hear such excellent and profound teachings. Now we are able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teachings. Namo Amida Butsu. Please remain standing for the gatha, the Beckoning Hand, which can be found in the blue gatha book, Dharma Joy, on page 6, or see the screen. Thank you. Please be seated. I would like to call up Rimban Yuika Hasebe to say a brief few words about today's topic.
Good morning. How are you today? Sleepy. Thank you very much for joining Hawaii Betsuin Sunday service. Prior to the message from the Miss Kam, I would like to share the short message for the Dharma school and then would like to share my Buddhist perspective today. So Buddha said we have four major suffering, which are shoro byoshi, suffering of being born, get old, get sick, and then someday we will all pass away. I have been living over 40 years and then 40 over 45 years and then I lost several people I dearly loved in my life. My grandma and grandpa, and then my father and uncle, and I also lost my two rabbits. And I always very sad and then to be separated from my loved ones. But I always remember that Amida Buddha made promise to save us and all beings and to prepare the true home for us to go. The home everybody can go back. My loved ones are not physically with me, but they returned to their true home, which also will be my true home too. I miss them, but Amida Buddha told me that it will be okay because there's a place that we all can meet again. Therefore, more so, we have to treasure the moment we can spend together today. When you feel like to say, I love you or thank you, please don't wait. Please just say and express your love and appreciation to them. If you have a fight with your siblings or loved ones, please talk to them and then make it up to them. It is okay to have such a moment. Sometimes we have a fight too, right? I had a fight with my brother and I have to make it up to them. So, but it is sad that you use your time being unhappy, grumble, and angry for a long time. Please talk to them. Let us together remember that people who passed away, people who are living now, are together in the great embrace of Amida Buddha. Let us enjoy the moments of our lives with gratitude and appreciation. Let us be mindful that the life can be considered long as well as short, but we all only have this moment here and now. We can treasure it, but also we can waste it too. So on this occasion of the Sunday service, let us together place our hands in Gassho and express our appreciation to the great compassion and the wisdom of Amida Buddha for embracing us always and watching over us. Thank you very much. Namanda, namanda, namanda.
Thank you, Rimban Hasebe. The Dharma School students are now dismissed. Thank you. They will go and do a Dharma School activity while we continue with our service. I now have the honor of introducing today's guest speaker, Ms. Annette Kam. Annette retired in 2015 after 42 years as a registered nurse at Kapilani Medical Center. She is past president of an organization named IFOG, Informed Fibromyalgics Guaifenesin, a nonprofit organization she founded in 2001 to help fibromyalgia sufferers regain health. In 2010, she stepped down as president after experiencing 2 years of unforeseen, heart-wrenching challenges when her father-in-law and mother-in-law passed away. To help others avoid what she experienced, she pivoted her focus to assisting others in preparing for the passing of a loved one, for a smoother transition and allowing time for grieving. Her book, Wait, Don't Die Yet, that has been featured on television, radio, podcasts, and numerous publications, to date has reached 38 states and 12 countries. Please join me in welcoming Annette Kam.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I am so excited to be here because I get to share with you what has been my mission and my passion for the last 3 years. You know, today the topic I'm going to be talking about is not a really super popular topic, right? Who wants to talk about end of life? Not a nice thing to talk about, right? But we must. Today, I think my talk is going to resonate with you in one of two ways. One is you're going to go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I went through, or am going through right now for some of you. The second way it's going to resonate is I think you're going to realize that you thought you had everything in order and you really didn't. You know, all of us, we know that every one of us here is going to pass away one day, whether it's tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. But knowing that we're going to pass away, why is it that we do not prepare, right? We avoid it, right? So what is it worth it to you today to know that when you pass, you can leave your family in peace to grieve rather than picking up on things that you never did or you should have done? Now, I don't want to depress you today. That's not the point of this, okay? The point of this is I want to encourage you, I want to motivate you, and I want to empower you and give you the tool so that when the time comes, you can feel good about what you've left for your family. Okay, next slide. These are just some of the venues that I've spoken at or been featured in the last 3 years, and I'm really happy about it. You know, these companies have embraced me, embraced my mission, so I'm very proud of what we're accomplishing here because I know I'm making an impact. Next slide. Okay, it's kind of hard to see here, but I can do this. Okay, let me ask you here: if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being you're ready. In other words, when you pass, you're going to leave your family in peace. They got everything ready. No problem. Are you a 10? I have never met a 10 in my life. Okay. Are you a 0 or 1 where you haven't even addressed anything yet? Or you could be a 3 or 4. You have your will, your trust, advanced directives, right? So the question today is, are you ready and can you be ready? And I think many of you might think you're ready, but I want to introduce a little bit stuff here that will kind of make you think twice about, am I really ready or not? Next slide. The first topic is bills. Who in your household does the finances? For those of you who your spouse does the finances, let me ask you a question. Should something happen to him or her, could you just slide in and take over? Do you know how the bills are paid? Are they paid by automatic payment by the bank? Are they paid by charge card? Do you send it in by checks? You know, usually in a family, one person does all the finances, the other person is not even around to even know what it's about. So when something happens, you're left in the dark, right? The second topic is computer passwords. So much of our things are in computers now. Do you know the password of the computer should you have to get into it? Even if you knew the password, would you know what file or folder to look in? Kind of makes you think, yeah. The next topic is your car registration. Do you know where the papers are? How do you sell the car? And the last example here is a keychain. Should something happen to your spouse today and you inherited this keychain, would you know what every single key is for? Right? Everybody knows a house key and a car key. What about the rest? You know, these examples are not examples that I just put out of the air. I lived through each of these examples, and I want you to avoid having to go through this because it was a painful experience. So if I can help you avoid this, that's my goal today. Now, next slide. When you're talking about end of life, there's a lot of stumbling blocks. You know, people don't like to discuss it. They don't know where to start. And they don't like to discuss it because it's such a sensitive topic. You know, if you were to tell your spouse or tell your parents, let's talk about this, I think the first response you're going to get is, why? I don't have a foot in the grave yet. I don't want to talk about it. So what happens is there's so much emotions involved that we kind of just avoid the whole topic, totally. And I'm guilty of this. I mean, I'm sure many of you in here have said, I just wish I go before my spouse, right? So today I want to tell you my story. Next slide. But I want to preface it by saying that I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe there's a coincidence that you're here today. I believe that with every mess that we go through, whatever mess it is in life, there's a message behind it. And that's how I've lived my life. Next slide. When I was a junior in high school in 1968, and you can do the math if you want to know how old I am, but I spent 2 months in the hospital with a ruptured appendix, very septic, almost passed away. And you might say, gosh, that's horrible, Annette. But you know what? It compelled me to become a nurse. And this is a really old picture from the early 70s. And you can tell it's old because we wore white uniforms, had nursing pins, nursing caps, and my hair was black. I guess I was kind of cute back then too, you know. But I spent 42 years at Kapilani Hospital. I probably saw many of you here through the birth of your children, even some grandchildren. So next slide. This picture, kind of hard to see, but I think that's Tucker Hirsch, who was our therapy dog. And next slide. This is my last day of work, my retirement. Now, in the 1990s, I came down with an illness that I suffered for 8 years, and nobody could diagnose me. Desperate, prayed about it. 2 days later, I found a book that changed my life totally and changed the lives of hundreds in Hawaii and beyond. I started a fibromyalgia support group. Next slide. I started a nonprofit in 2001. And we helped so many around the world. And I thought I was going to do this for the rest of my life. I was president for 17 years. I stepped down in 2020, not 2010. But for 17 years, I was the president of this nonprofit, thinking, this is my life, this is my passion. And then my world turned upside down. Next slide. In 2018, my father-in-law suddenly passed away. He was 99 years old. He cooked dinner for us every Sunday night for as long as I'm married. And his last meal he cooked for us was 3 weeks before he passed away. He was so organized, more than anybody I know. And he took us to his bedroom one night after dinner, 16 years before he passed away. And he said, I'm going to show you all these things. And so when something happens to me, you know what to do. So he showed us a secret key. He opened up the secret safe. And in there, next slide, please. He had his will, his trust, everything that you'd want, that you think you need. And so I took pictures, I made a file, and I relaxed, thinking, good. When he passes, everything is in order. But I was so wrong. You know, you have these financial people that give you a booklet and say, just check this off, fill in the blanks, and you'll be fine. Well, I'm here today to tell you that's not true. That's a fallacy. It's a fallacy to believe that as long as you have your will, trust, and all those paperwork, that you'll be fine. Okay, it's not true. Now, for the next 2 years, next slide, I found challenges were just overwhelming from sun up to sundown. And these were not the big things, they're the mundane things. Next slide. You know, I cannot tell you how many times I told myself, I wish I had known this. I wish I had known this. Why doesn't somebody teach us these things? Mundane things such as, mom told me, my mother-in-law told me, you take over. What do you tell your mother-in-law, right? But she said, take over. And I did. She never wrote a check in her life. I couldn't find the checkbook. Something simple as that. Remember the secret key in the secret safe? I went to get the secret key and it was there. But here on this keychain, instead of a single key 16 years earlier, there were 20 keys, all unlabeled. So can you imagine my frustration trying every key to open up this safe to get to the important papers? 10 days after my father-in-law passed away, my mother-in-law's phone broke, her only means of communication with us. Telephone company said, sorry, we can't fix it. She's not on the bill. We have to wait for the death certificate. I had to get the Better Business Bureau involved. So these are things that, I went through. And what happened is, when things happen in my life, I take out a notebook and I start jotting things down. So this is no different. When my father-in-law fell, I put in a notebook what happened, who I talked to, doctors I talked to, what I had to follow up on. And I made a list and I thought, gosh, I'm a baby boomer and many of my friends are baby boomers and have spouses that are sick and passing. Well, we're at the age where we have parents, we're caregiving, and they're sick and passing. So if I can help just one person, wouldn't it be worth it? So I made a list, just a rudimentary list, and I gave it to my friends, and they all came back and said, Annette, you got to write a book. You got to write a book because what you have shared is so valuable. So in 2020, in the middle of COVID, I wrote a book. It's called Wait, Don't Diet. And it's a complete guide to all things no one really wants to think about, but everyone needs to know before, during, and after a loved one's passing. Now you may ask, why in the world would I name a book like that, right? Did I get your attention? Okay, that's number one. Number two is death has no pause button. You cannot say, wait, don't die yet. I'm not ready. I need to know these details of things you forgot to tell me. Death has no pause button. You're going to be ready or you're not going to be ready, right? So can you go next slide, please? I can't reach you. Okay, well, that's the list that I compiled. Next slide. That's the book I wrote. Next slide. Oh, that's okay. You can keep it there. That's fine. Basically, the book is comprised of 3 parts. The first part is my story, and it has 4 parts to it, and that's what I'm going to go into in a second. I tell my story because I think if you hear my personal story, you will realize that this can happen to you and may motivate you to do something about it. My story segues into the third part of the book, which is the guidebook. It's a fillable guidebook. All you do is answer yes, no, fill in the blanks. You give it to your heirs or let them know where it is. When you pass, everything is there. All the information you need is there. So the book is divided into 4 sections. The before section is a section where you will fill out when you're both well and you have your faculties, you can think right. Okay. It's things that you probably should have done by now, but you haven't. Things like, let me ask you, if your spouse ended up in the hospital tonight and they ask you for his medications and supplements, would you know what they are? Medication, milligrams, dose, how often, what's it for? Or do you have to go home and go into the medicine cabinet and look and go, gosh, is he still on this or not? Right? So that's part of the before section. Also in there is things like, what if you lost your spouse and months down the road, oh gosh, I need a plumber. I know his first name. I've used him for 12 years, but no information because nobody bothered to write it down. That's in the book. How many of us have pets? We have pets? Okay. I have a friend whose friend passed away at age 58, living on the island, never had family here. The friends had to do everything. She left the cute little doggy. Didn't know where the dog was supposed to go to, where the dog was supposed to go to. Didn't know who the vet was. So these are the things that are in the before section. Next slide. Okay, it says during, right? The during section is it's a transition period where one of you may end up having to go to a care home or having caregiving in your home. So in this section, I interviewed many caregivers and they give their sound advice as to what's the best way to caregive, some really good hints. At the same time, in there is how to choose a good care home. Okay. Now, if I were to ask you, if you had to go to a care home, what criteria would you use? I think it's pretty easy. Location. Gotta have nice place. Hopefully a private room. Nice staff, right? Maybe an RN that overlooks everything. Activities. You gotta have activities, right? So you don't get bored. Sounds good, right? Would you be happy? I think most of us would probably say, that's okay, I think. What if all they served you was Mexican food, right? My mother-in-law was very fortunate because when we put her in a care home, the caregiver interviewed her ahead of time to find out that her favorite foods were Coca-Cola, hot cocoa, Burger King Whoppers, Taco Bell tacos, and sushi. All unhealthy food, right? But you know what? She had it once or twice a week and she was happy. So that's the during section. Next slide. The after section is the section where one of your spouses passes away. What do you do? How do you follow the funeral plan? How many death certificates do you order? And little things like don't forget the ring on the finger before you bury them, right? So that's the after section. Next slide. The last section is called after the after, and this is when both spouses pass and your kids have to have closure. Okay. Things like, I didn't know I needed to do an appraisal of the house for tax purposes. When do I close the bank accounts? How do I do the tax returns? So this is all in that section. Along with that, I wrote this section from the viewpoint of you being the one that passed and what you leave for your kids to do. How many of you are hoarders? You're in church. Anyway, okay. When I ended up going into my in-laws' house to clean up, I was appalled. And I'm sure some of you do this. I didn't know why they had 3 dozen empty mayonnaise and jam jars, right? Or 8 cans of dried up paint in the garage, rusty tools. Next slide. This is a picture of what I attempted to do. uh, I gave up after 3 weeks. I spent 3 weeks in the kitchen, couldn't clean it up. So, why is it that we leave our kids with 40, 50, 60 years of our stuff to clean up? Right? So, in this section of the book, I have resources on who you can call for help and simple things such as how do you get the cockroaches away after how many years, right? So that's the after section. There's one more part that I want to cover, which is the second part of the book. Next slide. And it's about, I can't see. I think, okay, hang tight. That's okay. One more time. Try go one more. Okay, it's about communication. And how do you communicate with your spouse or your parents about such a sensitive topic? This chapter was contributed by one of my nursing classmates who took care of 3 or 4 of her relatives. So she has really good insight into this. At the same time, in this chapter, I want you to pick up on conveying your wishes. And what do I mean by that? My friend had a nephew whose father passed away. All he wanted was a gold watch, nothing more. He didn't care about anything else. He didn't get it. He never told his father. His father never sat the kids down and said, when my time comes, is there something that's important to you? So how tragic is that? Wouldn't it be better if we could actually give away things now and see them enjoy it? So these are the things that are in that chapter about communication. And while I'm here, I'm going to talk about one sore spot that I hate to bring it up, but I need to. I can probably guarantee you that no matter how well your kids get along, there's going to be some squabbling down the road. I think the most extreme case that I heard was about 4 months ago when I was at One Kalakaua, and a woman came up to me after and said, "You're right on. I know a family," she said, 4 siblings, couldn't decide what to do with the father's house. So the oldest brother said, "Well, I guess if I can't have it, nobody can have it." He burnt the house down. True story. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay. Now, next slide. The the last part of the book is a guidebook. It takes up about a third to one half of the last of the book. And next slide. These are just some what's in the table of content. I know it's hard for you to see, but I cover everything possible that I could think of. Not only what happened to me, but happened to other people. And you can see how extensive it is. Next slide. And next slide. I cover things such as you wouldn't think of, like your rental property. Who's your property manager? Who are you renting it to? Contact numbers, things like that. I cover things like your list of doctors, including spaces for every doctor. And I have it so that it covers both spouses. Okay, it's not like one and you have to put both of your stuff there. So that's in the table of content. I'm going to quickly go through it only because I know time is of essence here. Now you may say, Annette, there's too much. How can I even fill out this note, this guidebook? I don't have time. May I encourage you, you need to. The guidebook that you fill out, you're only going to be filling out the section that pertains to you. So if you're both healthy now, you're just going to fill out the before section. When somebody ends up having to go to a care home, that's when you look at the next section. Okay. I can probably guarantee you that if you have your will, your trust, and all that in order, you can fill out that first section of the book in 3 weeks. It's that simple. It's a no-brainer because you don't even have to think. All you have to do is look at the questions. I've laid it all out for you. Answer yes, no, and fill in the information. It's that simple. Okay, and then you tell your heirs where it is. Next slide. These are just some sample pages from the book. And I know you can't see it, but there's books outside. You can take a look at it. But I cover everything. And the main purpose of showing these slides was to show you how simple it is. It's yes, no, fill in the blanks. Okay, next slide. And next slide. And next slide. One more. Okay. Now, what good is it if you have all your paperwork, but nobody knows where it is? I've talked to so many people who have things in Ziploc bags all over the house. That's not the way to do it. So in the last part of the book is a file system that I use, and it's just to get you started. I know it works because my husband can find everything, and that's a biggie. Okay. Um, next slide. So again, the name of the book is Wait, Don't Die Yet. Next slide. I give away the free ebook. I've been giving away the free digital book since I started 3 years ago. And that's the website, AnnetteKam.com, if you want the free digital book. And that's my email address if you have any questions. You know, how many of you here have found value today in this talk? Okay. If you have, can I just ask you if you belong to any organization that could find this useful, that at the back at the book table, I have a business card. If you just take a business card and pass it out and share it with whoever might be able to use this. The book is $20. It's $2 off the Amazon price. If you don't think you need it, this is fine. But may I urge you to go on Amazon and read the reviews, because there's so many people there that thank me. I get emails all the time. I got 2 emails yesterday thanking me for doing this because they thought things were ready and things weren't ready. As Cindy said, my book has reached, actually it's now 39 states. It went up by 1 state the other day, and 12 countries. So I know I'm making an impact, but the impact I want to make today is upon you. Okay. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to take the first step so that that's the greatest gift you can leave for your family when you leave this place? Okay. So thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, Annette, for your helpful and useful and valuable information. Please all rise to sing the gatha Happily Together, which words will be projected in the front or are in the same folder, Dharma Joy, on page 24. And following the singing of Happily Together, let's also sing the gatha Nembutsu. And the words are in the service book on page 135 or will be projected on the screen. Thank you. Please be seated. Are there any guests today? I don't see anyone. I have a few announcements, and following that, if anyone has announcements, we'll do the announcements after these ones that are in the MC script. So today, after the service from 11:30 to 2, we will be having our temple's general membership meeting and New Year's party. It will be in the social hall. Before our festivities, we will be having the installation of our new temple board of directors. So if everyone who is on the board would remain here, for it will take place right after we conclude here today. For everyone else who has purchased a ticket for today's annual meeting and New Year's party, please make your way down to the social hall. There will be a brief general membership meeting there before we can enjoy our New Year's party. If you are not planning to attend the New Year's party, the refreshments following this service will be in the lounge, which is just across the walkway. Next Sunday, February 4th, is Scout Sunday. Please join us as we extend our aloha to the Scouts and their ohana. Please join us as the service will be held in person as well as on Zoom, starting from 9:30 a.m. with Reverend Charlene Kihara as the Dharma speaker. On the same day, 2 Girl Scouts from Troop 415 will be hosting a donation drive, and they are here today to speak with us.
Hi, my name is Lindsay from Senior Troop 415. This is Miyaka. So the Honpa Hongwanji Girl Scouts are having a supply donation drive to help support the Project Dharma. Project Dharma is an organization that provides a variety of services to the frail, elderly, and disabled to ensure their well-being, independence, and dignity in an environment of their choice. The Girl Scouts recognize the needs of this vulnerable population in our community and connected with Project Dharma to assist in their efforts. The items from this donation drive will benefit the kupuna in our community and will be delivered to them by volunteers.
We will be collecting donations at Scout Sunday, February 4th from 8 o'clock to 11 a.m.
in the main social hall. HMS will also be collecting the donations until Friday, January 2nd in the office. These are the items we are in need of: paper towel, toilet paper, facial tissue, paper napkins, paper plates, batteries, Ziploc bags, plastic forks, plastic knives, plastic spoons, disposable chopsticks, postage stamps, disinfecting wipes, and adhesive bandages. To safeguard the seniors' health and well-being, please ensure that all donated items are new, unused, and sealed in the original manufacturer's packaging. The list of items can be found in the temple weekly bulletin. Thank you for your support.
So thank you, Lindsay and Jesse. Oh, I'm sorry, Mia. And please check out their flyer for the types of goods that they are requesting. On February 18th, here at the temple, we will be having an evening with George Takei, starting at 5 p.m. with food and entertainment to follow at Pacific Buddhist Academy. This is a fundraiser event, tickets costing $150 with proceeds supporting social justice initiatives, as well as other nonprofit organizations. For those who are interested, on February 8th from 5:30 to 7 p.m., which is a Thursday evening, there will be a rap session with Dr. Jess Wilson. He will be discussing the topic of engaged Buddhism for engaging youth. Registration and payment is necessary. Discounted registration for the 49th Living Treasures of Hawaii Recognition Program and Luncheon deadline has been extended to January 31st, 2024. The event is on February 10th in Waikiki. On Sunday, March 10th at 8:45 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be the 6th virtual state Dharma school gathering with the theme, Sharing Joy Together, the Golden Chain of Love. This event will take place on Zoom, so please register ahead of time. Lastly, for any of you pickleball players, or if you know of anyone who is a pickleball enthusiast, Hawaii Betsuin is teaming up with Oahu Pickleball Association for a pickleball tournament on March 2nd, which is a Saturday from 1 to 6 p.m. at the Hongwanji Mission School gym. All proceeds will go towards supporting Lahaina Hongwanji, as well as the relief efforts on Maui through our Hawaii Kyodan's Maui Wildfire Relief Fund. Registration will start soon, so please save the date and share this information so we can enjoy playing pickleball together while supporting our Maui Ohana. Are there any other announcements?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for attending this Sunday service. Mr. Albert Wong and Mrs. Lian Wong donated beautiful heliconia flowers for arranging the altar flowers. Mr. and Mrs. Wong, ありがとうございました. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. So much going on. It's great for our temple to have so many activities. I just wanted to tell you one more thing. I've gotten a couple of questions about the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii Triple Celebration Educational Zoom series. And the very first one, we did a watch party here in the lounge. There are 2 sessions this month. They're Zoom. We're not going to do watch parties for the 2 in February. February 3 and 17, I believe, just because of other conflicting events at the temple. But there was interest in doing the watch parties again starting in March. So the other thing is if you missed the very first session, there's a chance to see it on the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii YouTube channel. So it's been edited and uploaded there and available. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for letting me come up here. This morning, our guest speaker spoke about don't die yet, and I have no intention of dying yet. After all, I'm only 49 years old. In September, I'll be 59, and in 2029, I'll be 10 years old. And I hope you caught on. I came here to remind you that our Japanese class has started. We had a long vacation last year in 2023. So in 2024, the classes have started every Wednesday morning at 9:30 in the Annex Temple, and Reverend Toshima teaches. And all of you are welcome to enjoy and learn Japanese. It's not a class in which you learn to write and read Japanese language, etc. The basic learning is listening to Japanese language. And if you listen enough, then eventually you'll be able to speak Japanese to other people. And that's what happened to me. I went only up to Japanese, 6th grade in Japanese school. And here at the temple, I started to learn Japanese, and now I can speak a little bit more. And I can make a lot of jokes about Japanese language because the sound is very interesting. So come and join us, even though you feel that you cannot read and write. You can learn to listen to people when they speak Japanese, and eventually you will be able to speak Japanese to them too. And I'm sure when you go to Japan, you would like to speak Japanese, but when you go to Japan, you can get by in speaking English. So Japanese is not a language that you should fault. It's a fun language, and Reverend Toshima teaches it in such a way that it's a lot of fun. So please don't hesitate. Come and join us 9:30 in the annex on Wednesday morning. And usually the lessons are about an hour or hour and a half. And after that, Lillian Inatsuka teaches us sign language. And the only sign language I remember and that is, I forget. But she teaches us that. And then Zoe has been teaching us exercise. So we need, old people especially need exercise, and we need to really massage our brain so that we don't get dementia. And to exercise your brain, you need to laugh a lot. If you don't laugh, then you're going to definitely have dementia. So if you have not been used to laughing, go to the library, go to the bookstore and buy books about jokes. Read jokes and then laugh, or else come to the Japanese class because we laugh a lot. And you can laugh and enjoy and hope that we don't get dementia. You need to eat well, good food, not sugary food, and laugh a lot, exercise your brain. You need to exercise your body, because I read that from the time you're 30 years old, your bones start to deteriorate. So you need to exercise your bones. And of course, you need to interact with people. Only telephone is not enough. You need to see the facial reaction of people. because when you talk to them, if you see a face that looks like, oh, I'm so disgusted talking to you, hurry up, then you know that you gotta leave already. And you can see the facial reaction, and you know you learn to read faces. And so there are a lot of things that you need to learn by interacting with people. So come to the Japanese class and enjoy and make friends. So we're all old people, so eventually we're going to die, but not now. We hope we won't die, at least right. We won't die now. We're still very young yet. And to exercise, I went to college and took up English Lit as my major, so I like play on words. And now with Japanese class, I like play on words with Japanese words because I can make a lot of fun with them. But here's a story I'll tell you. I heard about these two men. One was a minister and one was a lawyer. And they happened to die on the same day. So they immediately went to Ojodo. And Buddha met them and said, follow me, I'll take to your home. And the Buddha dropped the minister off at a small wooden frame house with one bed and one table. It's just a tiny little house. And he left the minister there. Then he took the lawyer to a magnificent, huge, beautiful home. It was huge with a big swimming pool in the back and a beautiful view from the backyard. And the lawyer was overwhelmed. And he said, Buddha, how did I manage to get this spectacular place? And the minister got only a small place. And the Buddha said, well, we have a lot of ministers here, but you are the first lawyer that ever came up to Ojodo. Thank you. I hope you caught on.
Thank you, Fujiko. This concludes today's service. Again, thank you to Ms. Annette Kam for your message today. Thank you also to Diane Ida, our organist for this morning, and to people who are assisting with the online service, Mr. David Atchison, Mr. Wayne Yoshioka, and Ms. Irene Nohara. Thank you very much for attending today. As a reminder for the board members and to remain here if you are going to the annual meeting and New Year's party that will be in the social hall. If you are not attending that event, refreshments will be in the lounge. Thank you very much.